Thank you very much. I just wanted to make a few comments about the process. I think in light of some of the other comments that were made about this, I was actually one of the few council members who was here the last time we updated the comprehensive plan, so I remember what that process was like, and this one was quite a bit different. One of the things that was different about this was the high level of engagement and the high level of engagement early. The fact that we had staff going out collecting people's ideas and inputs at festivals and events and at focus groups over a year before we were going to even be drafting the plan was very significant. I think they were actually also trying to respond to direction and interests of the council. One of the commitments we've made as a city council is to try to gather input from different voices and reach out to demographic groups that aren't typically giving us feedback and information, and reach out early and reach out in new and different ways so that we can gather that input. I think if we're committed to racial equity, that's also got to mean doing more to engage those who are typically left out, and I think that's what our staff did try to do and bring in those resources. And I think that it was helpful. It was helpful to get that feedback, but it was also helpful to get people excited about thinking about what kind of city that they wanted in the future and what things mattered to them about the future of a city where they live, and actually get more interested in city government and what's going on. And I think that's another thing that this plan did. It actually helped us have a larger community discussion about some of the biggest issues facing us, including how we manage our growth and how we address things like climate change and racial inequities. I also found over and over again I was appreciating the work that staff was making towards assisting me in understanding it and my constituents. I had more than one meeting in the ward, and I think at one of those meetings there were 3 staff there that did a Ward 2 presentation. I was actually able to work with some of my colleagues, and we had joint meetings about the comp plan with neighborhood areas that we shared, and that was significant. I definitely had 2 neighborhood organizations that were very engaged and deeply engaged in giving me feedback on the comp plan and submitting information to the comp plan. And then after they saw the second draft, they acknowledged some things were there, and then they had more ideas of bringing more things forward, and I was able to work with them to do it. I thought about doing a mailing, and I certainly wouldn't have objected to utility insert, although I confess I didn't think of it early on when we planned what we're putting in our utility inserts to make sure that it got in there one of those months. For those who don't know, that's an insert we put in with the water bill that everybody, property owners all get. Not all residents get it. I'll mention that. But I also I'm pretty certain that I had staff who reviewed every one of my 27 amendments and helped me draft the language appropriately for the policy amendments that I made. I even remember getting some feedback about how maybe we could tweak it a little bit so it's more in the voice consistent with the rest of the document. And I know I got some ribbing from my colleagues about 27 amendments. It does sound like a lot, but I will point out that I wasn't the council member who brought in the most amendments, just to give a little, but nevertheless, I feel like I had help with all of those amendments. I also recognize there was a point at which appropriately the comp plan was handed off to the council and the council offices, and we were dealing with it. And actually, I also turned to the clerk's office to help me with my amendments and make sure they got in the right place, they were worded the right way, and I really appreciated the help and assistance from the clerk's office as well as the planning department as we went through this and brought these forward. I think I'll also note that we had 2 really long public hearings on the comp plan, and really long is all relative, I think, but they were probably 5 or 6 hours, one at the Planning Commission and one at the council. I don't remember anything like that about the last comp plan. I think we had rather short public hearings, and so we had lots of engagement, and so I think that was significant, and I really appreciate all the work that went into this from my neighborhood organizations who were involved, from all the residents who got involved, from my colleagues who worked on this, but also from staff in the CPED department and the clerk's office. And I have to also acknowledge that before any of the plan was written, we also had topic areas and focus groups. So we actually had staff leadership from the health department, from public works department, from probably all the departments out there, police, fire, and you name it, were engaged and involved in those focus groups, helping deal with the topics and work on the goals. And I appreciate everybody's effort in that.
Councilmember Johnson.